Lights! What's up guys? Mike Wheats here, back again. Thanks so much for tuning in. You're back again. I'm back again. And today I've got a soldering tutorial for you guys. Just KISS style, keep it simple, stupid, straight up front. I'm gonna just show you how I do it and tell you what it is. What the heck is soldering? Well, that's how we can bond metal pieces with a fusible metal alloy, such as this. A fine electrical rosin core solder and dispenser. So what I'm using today is the .050, and you're definitely going to need some solder if you want to get into soldering. You're also going to need a soldering iron. Irons, there's a lot of different types of them. I recommend any kind that plugs into a wall or extension cord. Stay away from the handheld. Stay away from like the battery powered stuff. They're garbage. There's a lot of good options out there. I mean, this was probably like $12, so 12 to like 15 bucks or something. Get a decent one. It doesn't have to be great. So today, I'm just finishing up this S800 build. The skyshadow. It's actually my first wing, but basically all I have to do now is shorten up the. This is an electronic speed controller, and this is a motor, brushless motor, 2300 kV. Basically I just need to tidy this up because they were like this long. There was like this much extra on them. So that's what I'm gonna do. Also, invest in a pair of wire cutters. They're so cheap. Alternatively, you can use a knife or you can use like dikes like these. You have to be really careful. You can also use a lighter sometimes in certain situations, depending on what you're doing. But today we are joining these metal work pieces, wires if you will. So what's the first step to making a good sound connection? A good, solid, heated connection. So what you want to do is you also want to have a wet rag, a damp rag, and just always, before you make any moves, just clean that tip off and then add a little solder. You always want to have a little bit of solder on there. So my first step is to tin the wires, and I'll usually use like a piece of tape or pliers, or you can get like alligator clips. I'll press the iron right underneath there and take the solder from the top and then just melt that on there. Let the solder flow through the wires. It's pretty easy when you have these multi-stranded wires. Now when you have a single-stranded wire, like a thicker gauge wire, then you might want to use a thinner gauge solder. So like I said, I'm using the .050. That's good enough for now. Good enough for government work. I'm getting up underneath the wire and putting the solder on top. I'm kind of making like a sandwich of what I want to solder. And I don't want to flood it. I just want to get a little solder on each wire here. So I also recommend using like a dispenser like this. You can see like it holds the solder in, and that way you can just give yourself some more, and it also it helps me. You'll find what you like. I love to solder. I love to make things, and it's definitely not difficult to get into. So I'm just gonna finish up tinning these wires. I'm just gonna add a little solder to them. Woo! And it's a little bit tedious, it's a little bit slow, but I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna prep them, and then I'm gonna show you what happens next. All right, so I've got all my wires tinned up, and here's where it's gonna help to have either like a helping hand, alligator clips, or maybe just something where you can hold the wires together, unless you have 3 arms. So I've got all my things tinned. I'm going to clear my iron of the solder that's already on there. I'm gonna just warm it up a little bit. I don't want too much on there. And then I'm going to hold my wires together just like this. I'm gonna get up from underneath it just like I did before, but this time I'm gonna press both together if I can get it. and then hold them, let it cool, and that should be great. So the key is you don't want to use too much solder, but you want to use just enough, right? Because if you have too much solder, you can actually short yourself out, and that is not what you want. So that is one. So the key for this right here, what I'm doing here, is that these three, 1, 2, 3, need to line up straight in a line, 1, 2, 3. If they were reversed, if this was connected to this and this was connected to that, and the middle wire was the same, then it would spin the motor the wrong way. It would just reverse it. So it's not actually like a ground and a positive and a signal. They're all signal wires with power, and they can affect the motor, which way it spins. So you didn't need to know that, but there's a little fact for you. So I'm gonna get the other 2 wires together. All right, guys, I've done just a wee bit of housekeeping here. Get my wires together, make this a little bit easier, and go a little smoother. So, yeah, there's another way you can do it. You can just put these wires together, you can just tape them together, and then solder them. Bam. And you'll see it dry, and that should be good. And then I will just tape that down, get that out of the way. Whoa, almost dropped my hot iron on the floor. It's also not what you want to do, obviously. I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna just add a bit. I'm just gonna flood it a little bit. Boom. That's fine. And then you've got your solders. Clean your iron off. Unplug it. And as it's cooling down, add a little bit of solder. Just give it a little bit and let that cool down with it. And that'll help protect your iron for the future. Take care of it. They're cheap, but you don't want to be buying one all the time. I do recommend like a finer tip, like this is like a decently fine tip for most applications. They make get something maybe with a removable tip, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. You can see I've got 3 nice solders here, and so now what I'm going to do is we're going to make sure this works. But before I can power it on, I need to put an antenna. This doesn't really have to do with soldering, but if you plug in a VTX without an antenna, it will burn. It will light on fire or overheat. So, okay, now what we need to do, I'm going to turn my Teranis on. I'm going to plug this in. So just that beep is telling me that it is working, but just to make sure, hit that motor. Great. All right, unplug that there. Everything's nice and tidy. I feel a lot better about my build now. We can take this thing out into the field and finally maiden it. Awesome. So thanks so much for watching, guys. That's just my quick little tutorial on how to solder. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave me a like, subscribe, check out my websites. It's all in the description. And have a wonderful day. Peace.